It was a cold, eerie night when I stumbled upon a mysterious invitation buried deep within the dark web. The message promised access to forbidden knowledge and experiences beyond imagination. Intrigued, I didn't waste a second before diving headfirst into the shadows. The forum welcomed me with its twisted discussions and unsettling images. It was like stepping into a digital dungeon where anonymity ruled and danger lurked at every turn. But I couldn't resist the thrill of the unknown, the adrenaline rush of exploring forbidden territory. As I delved deeper, a chill crept down my spine. It felt like someone was watching me, monitoring my every move. Then came the private message from an anonymous user, revealing chilling details about my personal life. Panic set in as I realized the danger I was in. I tried to leave the forum, but the messages followed me like a relentless predator, growing more threatening by the minute. It wasn't until I disconnected my internet that I discovered the truth: a GPS tracker planted on my phone, a silent sentinel tracking my every move. In that moment, I realized the true danger of the dark web. It wasn't just a place of secrets and shadows. It was a trap waiting to ensnare the unwary. And as I stared into the abyss, I knew that some invitations were better left unanswered, some secrets better left buried in the darkness. One night, while browsing the internet, I stumbled upon a dark web auction. It was chilling. Wealthy buyers bidding on the lives of unsuspecting victims. These lots were promised to be delivered live and in real time for the ultimate voyeuristic experience. I felt sickened by the depravity of it all, so I reported the auction to the authorities, hoping they'd shut it down. But they just shrugged it off as some urban legend, not worth their time. Determined to uncover the truth, I dug deeper into the auction's history. What I found terrified me. Many of the lots had disappeared without a trace, sold off to the highest bidder. It felt like someone was profiting off human suffering, and I feared I might be next on the bidding block. The thought haunted me every moment, but I couldn't just sit back and do nothing. Even though I was scared, I knew I had to shine a light on the darkness to expose the monsters hiding in the shadows. So I gathered my courage and resolved to fight back against the evil lurking in the depths of the dark web. It was a battle between fear and hope, but I refused to let the darkness win. The first time I stumbled upon a red room on the dark web is etched into my memory like a scar. The live stream revealed a horrifying scene. A woman bound and gagged, subjected to unspeakable torture for the sick pleasure of paying viewers. I was repulsed, sickened by the depravity unfolding before me. Yet I couldn't tear my eyes away. The next day, a video chat request appeared, and dread flooded my veins when I saw it was from the same red room. A masked figure offered me a chance to partake in the torture, promising anonymity and payment. I recoiled in horror, swiftly blocking the user, but the encounter left me shaken to the core. The thought of being a witness to such heinous acts still haunts me to this day. It's a grim reminder of the depths of human cruelty and the darkness that lurks in the shadows of the digital world, a darkness I pray I never have to face again. Listen, I was desperate enough to go prowling through the darkest alleys of the internet, looking for answers in all the wrong places. That's how I ended up on the dark web, stumbling upon this group that claimed they could summon spirits. I'll spare you the details of what they asked me to do, but let's just say it involved things that made my skin crawl. I was skeptical, sure, but I was also at my wit's end, so I followed their instructions one eerie night. And let me tell you, things got weird. Fast. As I chanted their incantations, the air grew thick, heavy with an otherworldly presence that made my blood run cold. I woke up the next morning feeling like I'd been dragged through hell and back. Scratch marks etched into my skin, a cruel reminder of the nightmare that had unfolded while I slept. And that feeling of being watched? It was like eyes boring into the back of my skull, relentless and unyielding. Then, like a slap in the face, the group reached out to me again. Their message dripped with malice, revealing that they'd summoned something evil that had latched onto me like a parasite. I was terrified, man. The kind of bone-deep terror that chills you to your core. I sought help, of course, from a medium who specialized in this kind of thing. What followed was a grueling exorcism, a battle against darkness itself. But even now, the memory lingers like a shadow, whispering of horrors that lurk just beyond the edge of perception. The dark web is a Pandora's box of nightmares, and I've seen enough to know that some secrets are better left buried, far, far away from prying eyes and curious souls. In the murky depths of the deep web, where shadows danced with secrets and darkness reigned supreme, I stumbled upon a website promising to fulfill any desire, no matter how twisted or dark. It was a temptation I couldn't resist, a glimpse into a world where the rules of reality blurred and the boundaries of morality faded into obscurity. With trembling fingers and a heart heavy with curiosity, I typed in my wish, heedless of the consequences that lurked in the digital abyss. The moment I hit enter, the room plunged into an eerie silence, broken only by the faint hum of the computer. Then, without warning, the webcam flickered to life, casting a sickly glow across the dimly lit room. A voice, dripping with malice and cold as ice, whispered through the speakers, "Your wish will be granted." Terror seized me like a vice, squeezing the air from my lungs as I watched in horror. It was as if the darkness itself had taken form, a malevolent presence lurking just beyond the reach of sight. The next morning, I awoke to a nightmare made flesh. My reflection stared back at me from the mirror, but it was no longer the face I knew. It was twisted, contorted into a grotesque mask of horror, a grotesque parody of humanity. And there, lying beside me, was a note, a grim reminder of the folly that had led me down this path of darkness. "Be careful what you wish for on the dark web," it read, words etched in blood-red ink, a warning etched into the fabric of reality itself. I shuddered, consumed by a terror unlike anything I had ever known. The dark web, with its promises of power and knowledge, had ensnared me in its tangled web, leaving me to confront the consequences of my curiosity. I vowed never to return, to leave behind the shadows that whispered of untold horrors and twisted desires. For in the heart of the darkness that lurked within the depths of the web, I had glimpsed the true face of terror, a reminder that some wishes are better left unspoken, some desires better left unfulfilled in the shadows of the night. So, my buddy mentioned this chat room on the dark web where supposedly you could chat with ghosts. It sounded far-fetched, but I was intrigued, so I decided to check it out. When I first joined, it seemed like people were just goofing around, sharing fake ghost stories and all that. It was all fun and games, or so I thought. But then, things took a turn. I started receiving messages from a spirit that seemed to know stuff about me, stuff that I hadn't told anyone. It freaked me out, to say the least. The more I talked to this so-called spirit, the weirder things got. It was like it was messing with my head, making me feel uneasy and influencing the way I thought and acted. I got really scared. I mean, who wouldn't? It felt like I was losing control of myself, and I didn't know how to stop it. That's when I decided to reach out to a priest for help. He performed some prayers and rituals to try to break whatever hold the spirit had over me. Thankfully, it worked. But the whole experience left me shaken. It made me realize that the dark web isn't just some harmless corner of the internet. There are some seriously creepy things lurking there, things that can mess with your mind in ways you can't even imagine. I've learned my lesson. I won't be venturing back into that dark corner of the web anytime soon. It's just not worth the risk. Looking for a bit of excitement, I stumbled upon a link promising a virtual haunted house tour. It sounded like a harmless thrill, so I clicked on it, curious to see what lay beyond. As the webpage loaded, I was greeted by a sinister voice. echoing through the speakers, instructing me to choose my own path through the haunted house. A shiver ran down my spine, but I pressed on, eager for the adventure. With each click on a different door, I was confronted with gruesome scenes of torture and murder, each more horrifying than the last. The images flickered on my screen, searing themselves into my mind like scars. And then, I felt it. A cold breath on the back of my neck, icy fingers caressing my skin. Panic surged through me as I realized that I wasn't alone in this virtual nightmare. Frantically, I clicked on every available exit, desperate to escape the clutches of the haunted house. Finally, I managed to break free, the web page disappearing from my screen in a flash of digital darkness. But even as I closed my laptop, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, the sensation of eyes boring into the back of my skull. It lingered like a haunting specter, a reminder of the darkness that lurked beyond the confines of the digital world. The experience left me shaken, a cautionary tale of the dangers that lurk in the depths of the internet. Some thrills are best left unexplored, some doors best left unopened, for in the shadows of cyberspace, there are horrors that defy comprehension. And as I reflected on my harrowing journey, I vowed to tread more cautiously in the digital realm, lest I become ensnared in its web of darkness once more. Late one night, I was deep into the shadowy web, clicking through threads when I stumbled upon a chilling tale. A user recounted being followed relentlessly by an anonymous stalker after a simple browsing session gone wrong. They clicked on a link that led to a maze of disturbing content, and soon after, they started receiving cryptic messages from an unknown sender. The messages grew increasingly threatening, detailing personal information that sent shivers down their spine. They were followed both online and offline, with the stalker seemingly always one step ahead. Every time they tried to escape, the stalker's presence loomed closer, leaving them trapped in a web of fear and paranoia. Reading through the harrowing account, a sense of dread washed over me. It was as if the darkness of the web had taken on a life of its own, manifesting in the form of a relentless predator preying on unsuspecting users. The thought of being watched from the shadows sent a chill down my spine, and I couldn't shake the feeling that somewhere out there, someone was lurking, waiting to pounce with trembling hands. I closed the browser, vowing never to return to that sinister corner of the web. But the fear lingered, a constant reminder of the dangers that lurk in the digital abyss,